Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is KPZ. We're here in World of Warships Legends, exploring the new alternative line destroyer Tier 5. We are in the Kane. We're on Mountain Range. It is a domination match. We are top tier. There are aircraft carriers. So let's talk about the Kane. The Kane is a Clemson with different guns and this advanced radar consumable, which you can see there on the screen. It's got that kind of gold sparkly business around it. So the advanced radar has a normal range of 8 kilometers, and when it's in operation, it also does a passive sweep that will put a little mark on your mini-map of where enemy ships are located. The Kane also has 8-kilometer torpedoes. They're very slow, and these ones are low damage, but as you get up in the higher tiers, they do more damage. All right, so first of all, I'm not totally pleased that Clemson is at Tier 5. I mean, maybe you wouldn't need the radar at Tier 4 and could have just put it with the torpedoes. I don't know, because it's got bigger guns too. Now I have a point of contention with Wargaming as usual about these guns. Right now I'm looking at the Wikipedia entry, and it says general characteristics of the Kane for 130 millimeter guns, 5-inch guns. On the wiki, it says, or pardon me, in WoW's Legends builds, says USS Kane was one of 5 Clemson-class destroyers armed with 127 millimeter main battery guns. So both of those things cannot be true, and I think maybe Wargaming may have made a mistake. I'm just going to put it up to Gemini right here while we're live. Was the USS Kane armed with 127 or 130 millimeter guns? Enter! And according to Gemini, which just searches the web, it says it was armed with 127 millimeter guns. So let me show it the Wikipedia entry and see what it says to that. Sorry, I was having to prompt AI. It's kind of a bitch. Right. So the enemy ships are out there. We're sort of seeing them. You can see that passive radar sweep, inadvertently dodging torpedoes. Enemy destroyer hiding near this rock. He just popped up right there. And he is visible now. And we are not visible because we have 5.5 kilometers of concealment, and he has 5.8. So I'm going to get a salvo in here, and another salvo, and a third salvo, and a fourth salvo. For once, my teammate shot at an enemy destroyer. I am so happy about that. So the Kane, like the other destroyers in this alternate line, the guns do much better damage, especially with armor piercing. But what they don't do better is they don't reload better, and they certainly don't turn better. The reload is probably at least double the regular destroyer line, and the turret traverse is probably triple the turn time of the regular destroyer line. So keep that in mind. Because the Medal of Honor winning commander Ernest Evans is not available at this time, I have Arleigh Burke behind the wheel. I know I had Bull Halsey with the Benson. That was a mistake in hindsight. I should have had Burke on that ship as well. Just for something different. I don't think mounting Gleaves with these destroyers is a meaningful or worthwhile endeavor, simply because it only benefits torpedoes, and I don't think your torpedoes need any help. And when I say that, what I really mean is at the higher tiers, your torpedoes do enough damage where, I mean, I don't think you're going to need Gleaves. And at lower tiers, they are so slow, I don't think he's going to help them that much. So I would think that if you don't have Johnston, or pardon me, if you don't have Evans, who commanded the Johnston, if you don't have Evans, or you're waiting to get Evans, or maybe you miss out on Evans, I think for now that Burke is a good choice. And I won't have Evans for another 8 days, so that's why I'm using Burke. Your mileage may vary on all that. We experienced a bit of lag right there, as you can see. I shot long after the engagement with the destroyer was over, which is why I didn't kill him, because I was lagging. All right. We are dealing with aircraft carrier planes. The Kane has horrifically bad AA. Unlike the further ships in the line, which have pretty good AA, you have abysmally bad AA. I'm not saying it's as bad as like the Nikolai, but it's pretty bad. So keep that in mind. You're like a French destroyer with your AA in the Kane. And at tier 5, that's bad because you're going to be dealing with a lot of aircraft carriers. All right, speaking of aircraft carriers, we have located the Ranger. While I chased down the Ranger, let's go back and talk the history of the Kane. Gemini has concluded the U.S. Navy never manufactured a 130 millimeter gun, and therefore is a rounding artifact from the site's formatting templates and not accurate. So we'll just say that's true. All right, the Kane departed Newport, Rhode Island in 1920 for her shakedown cruise to Gibraltar, Brest, Copenhagen, Danzig, and the Gulf of Riga. Supposedly well clear of the minefields laid in World War I in the Baltic Sea, but a mine exploded and bent her port engine shaft and port propeller struts. Had to go to Sweden to repair and then overhaul in Cheltenham, England, and return to the Med. In 1921, rescued an Italian torpedo boat drifting on the rocks off Cape Spartivento, reached Constantinople for relief work in Turkish water on July 3rd of 21. Blah, 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 did some evacuation efforts, transported aid and supplies, spent 5 years with the scouting fleet along the East Coast and Caribbean, training cruise to San Diego in 1925, sailed to Pearl Harbor and came back in July of that year, patrolled off bandit-plagued Nicaragua and Honduras in 1927. They said the Honduras. I'm not sure that's how you say that. Hey, look, we're up close and personal with the Ranger, getting Citadel hits with our HE. That is very nice. We're going to send out some torpedoes here. Mr. Ranger can damage me all he wants with the secondaries, but at the end of the day, my teammates are not going to get to kill pinch. I'm going to finish off the Ranger all by my lonesome. All right, as we return back to the map, I've got time, I think, to talk more about the history of the Kane. Evacuated Spanish citizens, or American citizens, pardon me, from Spain who were endangered by the Civil War. A tri-motored monoplane was dropping bombs within 100 yards of the destroyer and had to open fire 3 times. Blah, blah, blah. Recalled, or called at Bilbao, I probably mispronounced that, and Gijon, I probably also mispronounced that, and took the refugees to Saint-Jean-de-Luz, France. All right. Anyway, that's great and everything. The Kane was decommissioned in 1938. To be promptly recommissioned 1 year later. To serve in the Neutrality Patrol in the North Atlantic. August 7th of 39, which is hilarious because that's after it was recommissioned. I guess they're saying that happened in 1940. Patrolled off Panama. Patrolled off the coast of California in November of 40. Overhauled at the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. I believe that's in Bremerton, Washington. Patrolled Alaska and along the west coast. Departed Seattle for Kodiak after Pearl Harbor. Escorted troop transports back to Seattle. And did some sub-patrols among the Aleutian Islands or Alaska ports. Blah, blah, blah. Found her aircraft, anti-aircraft guns of little use against 2 attacks by high-altitude Japanese bombers. Well, that is no shock to me. All right, speaking of a shock, we've located the Koenig, and I was getting ready to size him up as we get a solo base cap for a torpedo attack, and I decided to do an S-turn here. And I think it's a good thing that I decided to do the S-turn. Now, if you don't remember, because you last played the Clemson several decades ago, the Clemson is an odd arrangement of guns. It has 3 guns in the front of the ship, but only 2 fire to one side, and 1 gun in the rear of the ship. So even though it says you have 4 batteries, you're only going to get 3 of them on target. The Clemson-type destroyers, in my opinion, do their best work with torpedoes. All right, here's the Gade. Full name, Ernst Gade, I want to say. We're lighting him up with this high explosive. He does some maneuverization there, which renders my shells not doing a lot of damage. Another salvo, set him on fire. Another salvo, we finish him off. Kill number 2. All right. There is the Koenig. We're going to jam on the brakes. And we're going to throw up our smoke screen. I said brakes, not just stop. Put on the brakes. And we're going to send out 2 salvos of torps. Because the Koenig did not immediately change direction when he saw me, I'm just going to presume he's going to blunder into my torpedoes. And I am not shooting because I don't want him to remember the torpedoes are there. So we are backing up to get our other torpedo launchers on target. All right, torpedo hits on the Koenig. There's 2, there's 3, 4, 5 torpedoes from the first strike. I love to count. All right, now we're going to use our guns because he knows we're here. Because we hit him really hard. We've got HE. It's not doing a ton of damage at all. Thankfully for us, nobody else appears to be doing any damage either. So we're just going to keep distracting the Koenig until he runs into our other torpedoes, which he dutifully does upon command. All right. Another torpedo strike killed number 3. All right, one last ship remaining. We're going to quickly move out, and quickly is said with quotation marks around it because the Kane is a very slow destroyer. I want to say 35 knots with our build, and that's with the speed boost flag. It's slow. Back to the history of the Kane. Evacuated troops from ground fighting on Attu. That's in the South Pacific. Received 12 survivors of the Russian Saner number 2. I don't know what that refers to. Landed elements of the Army's 1st Special Service Force on Kiska in 14 October of 43. 1st Special Service Force was a joint Canadian-American Special Operations Unit, which later became our modern-day Special Forces. Ask me how I know. Menton Day, December 6th of every year. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Kane arrived in Pearl Harbor, 1944, to join the 5th Amphibious Force for the capture of the Marshall Islands. Helped with the invasion of Saipan. Supported UDT operations off Saipan. Entered Guam. And helped destroy underwater obstacles set by the Japanese. Entered Lady and helped assist with the capture or recapture Became part of the Philippine Sea frontier until the end of the war. Scrapped in 1946. All right, we're on the victory screen, my favorite screen. 92,603 total damage. We ended up at the top of the board, 3205 base XP, 3 big kills for an official good game from the Kane. GG also to the Tiger, 3 medals, nothing to slouch about. But we dominated our team and the enemy team in the Kane. And really, it's just about picking your engagements with this kind of destroyer. All right, look at that. 12,000 ship XP, 12,000 commander XP. Nice job, if I do say so myself. All right, let's look at the upgrades. Just 2. We're here in early access. Aiming System Mod 1. Propulsion Mod 2. And the ship is fully upgraded. Taking a look at the loadout, you got high explosive, armor piercing, and torpedoes. Unlimited charges of the damage control party. 2 charges of a US smoke generator. As mentioned, 2 charges of the advanced radar. It runs for 10 seconds. We're running the Epic Ship XP booster and the Common Battle booster for speed. We got the standard permanent camouflage, which is nothing. And just to show you guys the 250 years of independence flag, there it is. Now that I showed it to you, we can put on the traditional flag for tech tree destroyers, which is the early adopter flag. Yeah, so the camo job, kind of a disappointment. I guess it's just a clear camo. All right, survivability, 14,800 hit points with our build, which is a boost. 23% fire resistance. Here are those main batteries. They shoot out to 11.7 kilometers, 4.5 second reload time, 14.4 second turn time, and the shell grouping value is 2.1. You can see all the dispersion is slightly worse. HE shells do 21 to 50 max damage with a 9% fire chance and pen 21 millimeters of armor. AP shells do 3,300 max damage. They pen 300.8 millimeters at point blank range, and a decreased with our build 73 millimeters at max range. That's down from over 90 millimeters stock, unfortunately. Slightly increased pen angles, 60 and 67.5 degrees, and the fuse arming threshold is 21 millimeters. You've got those same torpedo launchers that you've got on the Clemson. These go out to 8 kilometers, just 38 knots in speed. Talk about abysmally slow. Reload in 100 seconds. Max damage, 11,170. 900 meters detectability, and they arm in 132 meters. AA defense, as predicted, it is really terrible. Your best AA is the 20 millimeter Oerlikon guns, which do 66 damage per second. Your longest reaching AA is your singular 76.2 millimeter gun, which shoots out to 3 kilometers. Maneuverability, 35 knots. Turning circle of 520, rudder shift value of 3 seconds, and the engine power multiplier threshold is virtually doubled due to the propulsion mod. Concealment, 5.5 on the surface, 3.1 from the air, 2.5 when firing from a smokescreen. All right, on to the stats. We have played 5 matches in the Kane and won 2 of them. Main battery accuracy of 64%, which is pretty nice. Torpedo accuracy of 11%, which is predictable because of how slow they are. We're averaging 1 kill and 35k damage per match in the Kane. Our last match was clearly far and away the best match I've ever had in this thing. All right, nothing special in the armor viewer here as predicted. It's a level 3 destroyer with advanced radar. Sticky shot? I don't know about that. Slow? Yes, it's fucking slow. All right, so it's a Clemson at tier 5 with better torpedoes in terms of range and advanced radar. Like, comment, subscribe down below.